I want to talk about tonight. It's going to be the Denver Nuggets versus the Phoenix Suns. The series is currently tied 2-2. What are your thoughts on this series so far?
Uh, Super offensive heavy series. It's probably if you enjoy offense, this is probably the most enjoyable offense. Whether you like one-on-one offense, whether or you like team ball, you kind of get both. um, I will say that with this series, it kind of solidifies Jokic as being like a top five player because when Booker and Durant are just cooking for the last four games, especially the last for game three and game four at home. But Joker can just keep his team in the game, especially last game we had 53. There's not many players that can, you know, keep their team afloat when there's two other great players on the opposite side just cooking because Booker is shooting 36. He's shooting 64%, averaging 36 points.
Which is insane.
Like this, the numbers that he's putting up has not been put up in 50 years. The last person to do this was Wilt.
And what's a
Right.
center?
Yeah.
Booker's a guard in the first
64% is insane. It's like I don't think people kind of have the perspective that the numbers that he's putting up is literally like even Shaq didn't put up these numbers
Yeah.
like in his prime, not 64%, right? With 36 points. Even Shaq did not put up these crazy numbers, right?
But I think it's
So
more impressive as a guard. Like
yeah,
as a guard scoring this efficiently.
yeah, it's
He's
insane.
hitting jump shots, not just dunks. Like he's hitting a ton of
Yeah,
jump shots.
yeah. Having said, I mean, I think the having said everything that how do you say this? I still think that the Nuggets will win in six. Um, I feel like the Suns won game four because the bench just stepped up, but it's because they're at home, quite frankly. Like the bench has been playing better at home. I don't think they'll play better on the road on game five and game seven if it goes to like game seven. And um personally, it's hard for me to believe that Booker can keep this up for another 2 or 3 games. I mean, he's done this for the last week, but I it's just hard to imagine that he can keep this up for another two or three games and help for the Suns to win the series. It's for me, I'll have to see it to believe it. Because it's just it's insane to watch. So
He's putting in
yeah,
heavy minutes. Him and KD. KD's not as efficient, but he's still putting up a ton of points
yeah.
at reasonable efficiency considering the volume. So yeah. Um, my take is on the series is I'm actually surprised the Suns won 2 games. I originally picked the Nuggets winning in 5, but I'm gonna go with the Nuggets winning in 7 because I do think the Suns can potentially extend the series to a game 7 with one more win, just because of the talent they have in two players,
Mhm.
Booker and KD. Because offensively, it seems like the Nuggets really don't have an answer for either player,
Yeah.
and it's super apparent that literally, like those are the two players shooting a vast majority of the shots. Now, credit to Shamit, Landry Shamit in the last game, he contributed a very timely shots in the fourth. But outside of that, the Suns are not getting much production from their role players, and I think the most disappointing player for the Suns is definitely Deandre Ayton, where you kind of expect a guy who's your starting center to at least score like 10 points, considering playing all these minutes. So I know he's going against Jokic, but when you're getting paid that much, I mean, Jokic is is arguably the best center in the league, right?
Yeah.
So like I understand he's gonna have trouble scoring against this guy. But
Yeah. I mean, Landale has matched Aiden's production
yeah,
in limited minutes, right? So
exactly. So it's gonna be tough on what they want to do with with Aiden, considering is he gonna cut more minutes since he's extremely ineffective? Like he's not playing good defense because Jokic is still scoring like crazy,
Mm-hmm.
and offensively he's not really producing much. And
Yep.
even in terms of rebounds, he's not. I mean, he's not great. So like I don't really see what value he brings to the Suns right now. Hopefully he steps it up in the next few games, but it's going to be hard for me to see the Suns winning the series without Ayton contributing at least like a 15-10 game.
Yeah,
like
because half of the reason why you have Aiden is for matchups like these.
correct.
All right. I will say that the one thing that we discuss all season, not all season, but ever since Durant gone to the Suns, and why the Suns will struggle this year is mostly due to Monty Williams not knowing what rotations that he should play, right? And that's pretty evident this series. And even though they won game 4, like the rotations that he played, the guys he played were just so different than games 1, 2, or 3. So you would tell that he was just searching for someone to hit some shots, and once someone started to hit shots, they just stayed in the game, right? So like Shaman and Terrence Ross, they basically hit some shots, some like a handful of threes, and they stayed in the game, right? But if Shaman and or Ross is cold in game 5, I can almost guarantee you that he's just going to go to someone else, like whether it's Tony Craig or TJ Warren or whoever it is. Like he doesn't know what rotations work with the roster that he has, right? And that's not entirely his fault. It's because the Suns traded away all their depth, so this is what he has to work with. But
KD was also injured for a decent amount of time as well
yeah,
um, in the season, so it was kind of hard for him to figure out like who would work well with KD
yeah,
since there's a small sample size. But I mean, it's playoff time. Well, they figured something out, right?
yeah.
To win 2 games, they just have to shoot the lights out basically, and hope that they can shoot better than the Nuggets. Essentially, is going to be their game plan. I do think we have at least one more game in them to have these for Booker and KD to have these monster games, but I just don't think it's sustainable. It's not just the numbers, and it's also like the minutes played, right? I think we mentioned this even in the last series against the Clippers, where it's like Booker and KD have to play 40 plus minutes
Yeah.
for them to kind of barely win.
Yeah, because even though their bench played well today, it still required KD and Booker to play heavy minutes, 44 minutes and 40 minutes respectively each, right? So because the bench can only play well when Booker and or KD is attracting attention, attracting double teams, collapsing the defense to pass out to shooters. That's the only way for the bench to produce. Like they don't have like a scoring guard off the bench or a scoring forward off the bench. Like they don't have like a tire hero come off the bench or a
Terrence Ross
or,
was supposed to be that guy.
yeah. So like literally like the only thing that this team is really missing is literally just like a sixth man. A scoring six man that can like a Jordan Clarkson or
I think they should play Terrence Ross. Like literally, that's Terrence Ross.
yeah.
Well, what do you the person that he was in Orlando? I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Really
it's hard.
playing,
It's hard for
but
me to say that because like I agree with you. Like 2 or 3 years ago, that Terrence Ross could have done it. But the thing is, like the last 2 years in Orlando, he hasn't played that much, so I haven't been able to really watch him play and can't really see like how good he still is or was right now because he hasn't played much last 2 years in Orlando, right? So
I'm just trying
I would
to.
agree with you based on what I saw from him like in his early years, but last 2 years I literally haven't seen him play that much.
Yeah, I mean, I think Orlando wants to play their young players. That's probably why he's not getting minutes.
Yeah.
He still played 20 minutes, or 16 minutes past game, 8 points. Like they're utilizing him some way. And then also, I think they just need improved play, right? Cameron Payne needs to step up. He had a bad game despite winning. So we'll see. I still think the Suns will be able to eke out one more win. So overall, I think it's going to be Nuggets in 7, just because it's just a lot of wear and tear on Booker and KD to keep up this type of scoring scoring run of dang near 40 points a game.
Yeah, I mean, if your two best players score 72 and they shot almost 70% as a duo, and you get how you get like 40, I believe it was 40 points from your bench, and you barely win, like that's the type of effort that the Suns need to win every night. For me, it's just hard to believe that Booker can play amazing, KD can play amazing, the bench can play amazing for another 3 games in a row. Because it took all of that for them to win game 4. And for me, I just don't see that happening for 2 of the next 3 games, like personally, right? So I think whether it's in 7, like you said, or whether it's in 6, I personally think it's 6. I I do think that the Nuggets should just win out, because I don't. It would be amazing to watch AD, KD and Booker kind of bring this home, but I just don't think that they'll have the legs to like do so over the next 3 games. So